Hello, today is the first lesson about volume. So let's just kind of fill in some terminology here and we'll get you going. So first box on the left says that volume of a right cylinder, right prism can be determined by multiplying. So we write in the word multiplying the area of the base by the height of the cylinder or prism. So when we say right, what we mean is that there's a 90-degree angle. So everything that you've been doing this year have 90-degree angles. They're right cylinders or right pyramids. So we can put that into a formula that is pretty general for all shapes, that area of the base times the height. Right? And that'll work every single time. So let's do this example here, right? This tells us that the area of that circle, right, is 20 centimeters squared. So volume is going to be area, right, times, I'm going to say h for height. So it's 20 times 8, or 160 centimeters. And then here's a new part, cubed, right? So your units for volume are going to be cubed. So it's a little bit of a map here, but let's try, why don't you try the one below, right? So you can pause here and see how that goes. Okay, before we get too much farther, right, volume, remember, is how much stuff fits inside. So volume, how much, I'm going to say fits inside, right? That's what we're finding. Last unit we're doing surface area, which is around the outside. This is inside. Now, one thing to keep a note of is that changing the orientation, right, so write that word in, of a 3D object does not affect its volume. So you can see in this picture here, this is changing the orientation, right? Rather it's standing up straight or on its side, volume is still volume. Same with surface area, right? Surface area is still surface area. So let's do one of these practice questions here together. It says, what's the volume? Right, so volume is area times, this was height before, length, I don't know. But right, we've got the area that's the bottom, that big rectangle on the bottom, so that's 51. And then it looks like it's 3 centimeters high, so we're at 153 centimeters cubed. Okay, so you need to do that one on your own, and again, you can check your answers next day. All right, so sometimes you're not actually given a picture, like this example here. So it says a water trough is the shape of a right triangular prism with a base of 1,250 centimeters squared and a height of 100 centimeters. How much water can you put it in before it overflows? So imagine a trough like this that animals might feed at, right? And you can kind of put things inside the trough. So the dimensions are, it's got a base of 1,250 centimeters. So if it's a triangular prism, it's referring to the triangle part when it says the base. Right here, the base is just that line, like that edge is kind of teetering on. So that's actually the 1,250 centimeters squared. And then when it says height, right, we're talking this part here, 100 centimeters, because we could have just drawn it like this, right? It would have been the same volume. So be careful when you read those questions not to let those words throw you off. So, all right, volume is area times height. So 1,250 times 100. So we got a bunch of zeros here. 1, 2, 3 centimeters cubed. Awesome. Okay, so what happens when you don't have the area already? So that's what we're going to look at below. Now this says the volume of a right rectangular prism can be determined by using the following formula. So please write this in, length times width times height. So we're going to label those things on here. This would be the length, right? This would be the width, and that's the height. Now, same thing for a cube. A cube is just a special rectangular prism, right? Length times width times height. But because they're all the same size, right, I can say side, not squared, but cubed, all right? So that's one side. I'm just going to go side times side times side, right, which is side cubed. Now, if it's a triangular prism, it's the volume of a right triangular prism can be determined with the following formula, right? It's the area, so you're going to do the base of the triangle. I was going to say base of triangle times the height of the triangle, right? You're going to take that and divide by 2. That whole thing, you then multiply by the height of the prism. So kind of like what you were just doing before, right? You find the area of the triangle, so base times height, and then multiply by how tall it is. All right, let's try it. So here's a triangular one. Determine the volume. So first of all, you need to find area of the triangle. So I'm going to say A of triangle, just to make it quicker. So I'm only concerned about this right here. So I know that base times height divided by 2 gives me the area of a triangle. In this case, the base is the same here. It's 7. And we've got a height of 7 divided by 2. So that's 49 divided by 2, which ends up being 24.5 centimeters squared. All right? Now, volume is going to be area times height. So I'm going to take that 24.5 centimeters squared, multiply it by that height of 12 centimeters right here, and the volume is 294 centimeters cubed. Pretty cool, eh? So why don't you try this one here? You can pause and check your answer on the next day's lesson. Okay, the last example today. Now this says, determine the volume of the contents of the right prism if it's a quarter full. So this would be a half of the prism. All right, make this half over here. Now a quarter would be half of the half, something like that. So I want to know the volume of just that section. Imagine it's cheese or something, right? You just want to take a piece of cheese. How much volume is it? So the easiest way to do this is find the volume of the whole thing and then figure out what a quarter of that is. So let's do that. Right now volume is length times width times height. All right, we've got that's 34 times 12 times 8. So 3,264 centimeters cubed. All right, that's your volume. Now remember, back to the fractions, if I want to find a quarter of something, right, that word of means multiply. So quarter of 3,264, right, you treat them like multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and then 816 centimeters cubed. So that's your final answer. A quarter of the volume is 816. Okay, good luck, and we'll see you in class next day.